Okay, repeat after me. Time of exposure is not the same as time of completion. 1/60th of a second is not 1/60th of a second. There's three reasons. The third reason's on the back. Why a larger sensor, okay, is more susceptible to shake than a smaller sensor. The third one, which of course is mirror slap, is not relational to mirrorless cameras, but these two are. Now there's actually a first curtain and a second curtain. This only represents one blade. You actually have three blades on each curtain. Let's say this is a full frame sensor and this is a DX crop sensor. FX and DX, or this could actually be a medium format and this could be a full frame. Doesn't make any difference. Now let's take, for example, since the pixel pitch is exactly the same between the D850, just as one example, the D850 and the Nikon D500, so we have the exact same pixel density per square millimeter of sensor. Why is it that the D850, now the actual shutter blades are dampened, and we actually have a dampened mirror mech to reduce on mirror slap and also to reduce on a shake due to the curtains on the actual mechanical shutter, but there still is shake due to factor number 2 and number 3. How is it that since the pixel density is the same, we can eliminate that as a variable? Because, well, it is a variable, we can eliminate it out in this instance. There are three primary reasons for that. The reason is the time of exposure is not the same thing as the time to completion. Now imagine like curtains on your TV set versus the curtains on the movie theater. Now the actual moving slit might be 1/60th of a second to expose each moving section of the sensor as the first curtain starts to fall and the second curtain follows. But 1/60th of a second exposure is not the same thing as the actual time for the completion of 1/60th of a second. Since this sensor is smaller than this sensor, even though both, for example, are 1/60th of a second exposure, the time to completion of 1/60th of a second is longer on the larger sensor than it is the smaller sensor. Secondly, on the first curtain and second curtain, like I said, each curtain actually has three blades, which I didn't represent here. I'll show one. The actual, now these are Teflon coated Kevlar. This isn't really the issue, but the actual metal armature actually has more inertia and more torque, which is actually applied to the camera. These are dampened, but we still have an issue where the actual larger mechanical shutter on a larger sensor has more inertia and more torque as far as causing camera shake than a smaller first and second curtain on a smaller sensor. Third one is pretty obvious, as I'll flip it over. How do you like this high-tech methodology of using an old school chalkboard? Mirror slap. Okay, let's just say this is a full frame camera mirror and a DX crop sensor mirror. We actually have a larger mirror with larger inertia and more mirror slap and more induced shake. That's pretty obvious and self-explanatory, right? The one that people don't understand, as secondly, actually of secondary importance, is the actual shutter mech being larger and having more inertia and inducing more shake. But if we eliminate out pixel pitch, which that can be added as an aspect, but here we can eliminate it by just talking about the D500 and D850, which are the exact same pixel pitch. 1/60th of a second exposure, for example, any shutter speed, but any exposure identical between two different cameras is not the same. Well, sure they are. It's 1/60th of a second. They're both the same. No, they're not. The exposure is a 60th of a second, but the time to exposure from start to finish of when the second curtain falls is not the same. It is longer on the larger sensor than it is the smaller sensor. And that's the important thing that people don't get. I hope you like these videos. If you do, you could always click the link below and drop $1 or $2 because that would make me happy. Because I don't have affiliate links and sponsors like the rest of these pathetic shills. Hey! On YouTube. Hey! My drawing's gonna have some freckles. Wait a minute, shit, I don't have any hair. What's wrong with me? I don't have any hair. There we go. No hair. There we go. Bye!